with the picture of the junior prom with the guys posing in the Hitler salute.
Oh.
But it came out today, and it does have some relationship to what we're talking about.
Okay.
So I thought I'd at least print it and bring it in.
Okay, cool.
All right, at least now you know what I'm talking about.
And
there's some very, very good
1,
points
2, 3.
about here, you know?
Is it about the coverage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the coverage, yeah, and also the fact of the coverage is that this has happened to black kids all the time, and errors made by white people are contributed to extenuating circumstances. Errors made by black people are seen as a result of their character, and for that reason, black people end up as collateral damage. It's a great point. It's a great point.
Remember, but it's more about the coverage. We want the media part of it. Always the media, how the media covers the issue rather than the issue itself. I mean, we can talk about the issue, obviously.
No. I
okay, cool.
So it was a.
I mean, there are a lot of.
They're talking about Twitter. Hang on.
Which
Twitter
one?
parody account. Go Baraboo.
Are we behind the media? Before behind?
Oh, we are.
Yes, we are before behind. Hey, here we are. On a Friday again. We've been sticking to Fridays. For a while there, it wasn't. We were behind the media at different times of the week, but now we've sort of settled back in, at least for
one holiday
a few weeks.
Down and a few
and
more
a
to
few
go.
More
and I
to
noticed
go.
You haven't brought in your Santa hat.
I did not.
I think to me it was a little early to break out the Santa hat.
The only reason, for those of you who are just tuning in, I did have on a Santa hat. Anytime I wear hats in studio, Jimmy has an issue with the hats.
I do.
And that
people
can't
consistent
see you.
With me.
You are consistent with the hats.
Yes.
So even though this wasn't a cap that was masking my face, which I think it's usually the problem that you have, where you can't see my face, and it just whatever else issues around the hat. The Santa hat, you can see my face, and it's a happy thing. But I thought since Jimmy doesn't like hats, I'll stay away from hats.
It's not that I don't like hats. I like hats.
You're just,
I have a thing about being in studio with a hat.
With a hat. Okay.
And by the way,
as we get closer,
back in the
you
day,
didn't wear a hat inside.
No, I did not.
But that's
but I
didn't
also
either.
made my kids in studio
take off their
hats.
But this is Santa. Would you tell Santa to take off his hat? Oh. All of those
Depends on what he was doing. It's not like it's a yarmulke. You know what I mean? There's no religious reason why he has a hat on. He has long white hair flowing.
Yeah, but
in the mall.
How do you know
wearing
it's
a hat
Santa?
when he sits on when the kids sit on his lap?
Yeah, actually he does. He usually wears a hat.
Okay.
Not a hat. It's the Santa cap.
The Santa cap.
Right.
It's a yarmulke.
It's a Santa yarmulke.
It's a Santa yarmulke
with a little poof on top.
There you go.
Okay, hit it, Steve.
You're tuned in to Behind the Media. Dan Lothian and Jimmy Young bring 70 years of award-winning broadcast experience to the table. From newsrooms across the country, behind anchor desks and in the field, they've seen and covered it all. And now they are here to take you behind the media.
You're going to have to embrace technology. If you're an educator...
Oh, I'm embracing it.
I want you to use the phone to help teach these kids.
You don't need to do that. I was covering the president in China, and we did a behind-the-scenes video. This is a gong, or...
No, not a gong. A bong with a B.
That's right. I said
the
gong.
The gong is a gong show.
I said gong.
Gong
bong.
makes noise.
Bong.
Okay.
Why is it, Jimmy? Why?
Because sex sells, Dan!
True, but it's only part of the answer. It is, you have to be more creative now to be able to tell a story, and sometimes it's just a before and after picture and saying, which one do you want to be? The Nazi rally that took place but wasn't covered, one station's justification for going dark on a usually breaking news event.
Why are some of YouTube's biggest stars buckling under pressure? With millions of followers and money on the line, some have taken a break.
Yahoo launches a not-so-subtle ad campaign, and social media is outraged. Can you say backfired?
Oh, Yahoo, I can. Plus, bites behind the media, including the swift end to millennial-focused magazine MIC, and the amazing success of ad-free journalism platform The Correspondent. And what do you and the average number of people out there spend on media each year? All those on fourth quarter bites next.
Ding-a-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling-ling.
Okay, I got it.
Don't make any noise. We want to make sure you hear everything we have to say because nobody else breaks it down like we do. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. And listen on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Away, thoughtful standards for modern travel. Away makes suitcases for the way we all actually travel, with features like an ejectable TSA-approved battery or built-in front pocket. And they come in a range of colors and materials that suit your travel style. Away has the perfect gift for everyone on your list, because this holiday season, everyone wants to get away. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com and enter promo code CLNS. So, Jimmy?
Yes, Dan?
There has been this debate ongoing for some time as to when you should or shouldn't cover certain kinds of news events. Mm-hmm. And we're going to even get a little more specific than that.
Oh, so you think it was a news event, Dan?
Well, no. I'm gonna get even more. Okay. I'm gonna narrow the focus.
Okay, please do.
You know, like when you're trying to light a leaf on fire. Do you remember doing that? Where you take a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
So the way that you start the fire is you have to get that pin focus, right on the
laser focus.
Ooh, there you go. So the laser focus here is on what many people would describe as a hate group, a Nazi group.
Well, they were the National Socialist. What was it? Party? What is it?
What is their
Party.
Official name? The National Socialist Movement is what they're called.
Right.
And it's a Nazi group in Arkansas. They were planning a protest. They were going to be going out on the streets and protesting. And like any good PR department for anything, including the Nazi groups, you send out information to local stations and you say, guess what? On the slowest day of the week, on a Saturday when you have nothing else to cover,
here's something
you can cover. Now, traditionally...
By the way, 1 or 2 press releases a day.
Yes. They were bombarding and saying, we're coming, we're going to have this event, we want you to cover it. Now, most local stations, especially in smaller markets, where you don't have a deep reservoir of stories that you can rely on, certainly during the weekends, would have been all over this.
Yes.
Except, in this case...
They said no.
Or
one news director in particular.
Right, said no. And this is the news director at KARK, I guess, TV, Fox 16. News director Austin Kellerman, and this is according to Pointer.org. There was a great write-up on just not only their decision to say no to this coverage, but also how there was a lot of texture here. They had to talk about concerns of not covering a story. Isn't the journalistic model that something is happening, you go out there and cover it? So they did debate it. They didn't just say no and walk away from it.
In fact,
it was very thoughtful in their thinking.
Right, and there are always meetings about what we're going to cover on this day.
More meetings than that.
More meetings and talk. And so the reporters were actually making the case that this is news. I mean,
right.
Again, probably a very fascinating discussion in the meetings. Right?
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall.
Right, exactly.
Because at the same time, I don't think anyone is standing up and saying, you know what, we agree with the Nazi way, so we therefore need to cover it. But you realize as a journalist that sometimes you have to cover even the ugly and the hateful.
Right.
And so this certainly was a lively debate, and I would have loved to. They could do a reality program probably based on whatever was going on in that news meeting.
And we've debated what is news.
Right.
Just because the tree falls in the woods doesn't make it sound.
Right.
Or
even if the wind calls you up and puts out a press release saying that the tree will fall in the woods.
That's right.
Doesn't mean you have to go out there and wait for the tree to fall in the woods.
Correct. Just to see if it didn't make a sound or did.
Exactly.
Oof.
But it was, first of all, one of the things that we've always said is that if more news organizations got together and said, we're not gonna do this the way that we've always done it. Times are different. Let's band together and not cover something. I think a lot of the craziness that we see on television or see elsewhere wouldn't be out there and perhaps wouldn't have the ramifications that we're seeing across the country.
Right.
But everyone has to do it, or at least somebody has to not only say they're going to do it, but stand tall and tough when there could be potential blowback.
Now, potential issue may have been there are other. We advanced the story with a few more facts.
Right.
The fact that the National Socialist Party had 12 protesters or something.
What? Not a lot of people showed up.
Right, and the
counter-protesters. Right.
The anti-protesters had a couple of hundred.
Right.
And there was probably. They also reported that there was
some snipers. I guess
right.
Police were.
There
around.
were police were around, definitely looking for trouble.
Right.
Because this is a hateful doctrine. And it's being espoused in public.
Mm-hmm.
That is a dangerous precedent. We understand First Amendment rights. We understand the right to assembly. We respect that. But I think when public safety and hateful doctrine continues to be espoused, to be shared, not covering it is a good tactic on making it go away because you're denying them their 15 minutes of fame. You're denying them national coverage because these days
everything is national, right?
Everything's national. Anything that is recorded, and pretty much everything is recorded either on a camera somewhere or on a microphone somewhere, that becomes an opportunity to go viral.
But the question is this, though, Jimmy, and we've discussed this as well, because information gets out not just through traditional broadcast channels. So before, if we didn't cover it, nobody else would know about it, more than likely, unless, whatever.
Right.
But now you take 10 people with a following on social media and 10 people, one person with a decent following that just streams something out live. You really don't need us. So what about the argument that, well, if we have to do this because even if we don't do it, people will have access to it?
And by the way, that's what the National Socialist Movement probably could have done.
They could have done it, right? Although they want sort of the local stations, because they know local stations. A lot of people may not, older people in particular, aren't using their phones to watch news.
No.
They still turn on to the 6 o'clock or the 11 o'clock news, and they know that. There's still something about getting your story on that.
Yep. But think about usually in the talent at Little Rock, Arkansas. I don't know what size market it is.
I don't know, but it's smaller than Boston.
Yes, good job. Yes, it is, Dan. It's not a top 10 market.
No, it isn't. I could probably even say it's not a top 20 market.
So I'm thinking it's.
But I think
medium,
they have more guts
small,
than some of the bigger markets based on what they did there.
Small to
I applaud them.
Small to medium.
Yes,
okay.
I think you're safe there.
And when you are a talent in those types of markets, you're not far from being away from the colleges that you went to perhaps learn your craft and get this job. And I would.
So what you're saying, Jimmy, is young people's
judgment.
Judgment. Right.
Right, exactly, and I don't know how old Austin Kellerman is. I don't know how many years. I don't know how many years he's been in the business or whatever.
Okay.
But I do applaud him for not falling for a publicity gimmick under the First Amendment, opportunity.
But isn't everything? Anytime someone sends you a press release, which it happens all the time at local stations, it's a publicity gimmick. And that's why that one jumped out at me a little bit. Like, we didn't want to fall to publicity. Well, yeah, anytime you go cover something that someone told you about is a publicity gimmick.
Right. Well, it's also enlightening you. You can't cover you can't know about everything if you're sitting inside a building on an assignment desk monitoring police radios and every print and probably every social media site you can get your hands on.
You have to get out there.
Right.
Right.
So, I again, not sure. I'm glad that this happened.
All right.
And I will also point the finger at you-know-who, because this wouldn't have happened if Charlottesville, Virginia hadn't happened.
Well, there's a lot more.
Certain someone.
Well, yes and no, Jimmy. You know that these rallies of Nazi groups and skinheads have been going. I did a story on this, interviewing a skinhead. Yes, me, Dan Lothian, an African American or Caribbean American or whatever. I got black skin, brothers.
I didn't notice.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
I interviewed a skinhead back in the day about some actions that they were going to take. So we've been doing this was back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So the coverage has been going on for quite some time. You could argue that there's more hate out there now just because of the current environment. But
the current president. I'm going to cut to the chase and say that he's enabled and given them some sense of support through his stupid tweets.
Well, he's covering it, right?
Yeah, he's covering it.
But coverage of it has always been out there, and there've been questions around it. And what I like about this particular case is how the station came to its decision. You talked about how they sat around and they chewed over this thing, and some reporters really wanted to cover it. But here are some of the issues that they wrestled with. First of all, they figured out, okay, is this group coming to protest a local issue? Right. So, for example, if the Nazis had been coming in to protest gas prices in the local community and saying that it's racist against white people or whatever, okay, now you could almost say it's a local issue, so we have to at least go out and cover it. This particular group, apparently, according to their press release, were covering genocide in South Africa. I don't know if you've been following this, but there's been this sort of racist commentary that's been ongoing now about sort of the reverse of what happened for the longest time,
during
right?
Apartheid,
right? And now
Africa.
they're saying it's the white people, it's genocide against the whites in South Africa. Yeah, it's a hogwash kind of argument debate. But anyway, they were going to Arkansas to protest against genocide in South Africa. So right away they checked the box, not a local story, so we aren't compelled to cover it. Second thing. If you have a local group that is protesting even an international issue in your community, you could always argue it's a local group in our community. We have to cover it. This was a group that came from outside of their community to protest an issue that was not from their community.
They were truly trying to take advantage of the geographic landscape.
Let's go to the heart of Arkansas, get these local folks on a weekend and throw them something that they'll cover because it's eye candy. It's people, and maybe there'll be some action, and we can just gin things up and get some publicity for our cause. And this station made the critical, the critical decision based on facts. It wasn't a shooting from the hip kind of decision. They really thought this through and felt an obligation to the public to not only do it this way internally, but then they have it on their website. And they tell people, they're guiding people to their website and saying, by the way, if you want to know why we didn't cover this story, go to our website, and it spells it out, the process that we went through. I like that. That's pretty cool.
And that's transparency. And I think everybody likes transparency, especially when it comes to the media, because after all, we become public enemy number one.
Yes, really. I thought we were the darlings of the community out there. The one thing is they didn't, and again, even though they didn't cover this, they sent reporters there in case something developed that would warrant a real story, right? So they had they sent a photojournalist on the ground to be near the protesters.
Yeah, because as we know, Dan, you stick a camera in front of a person.
You're right.
That incites them.
So without cameras, I might just talk to you and yell at you. With cameras, I might punch you.
Or say, hi, Mom.
Oh, hi, Mom. That's the other thing, right. That's the other thing.
Here's my 15 seconds of fame,
Exactly,
Mom.
I know.
Aren't you proud of my socialist?
People do stupid stuff when you turn the cameras on and flip on the lights.
Right.
But they sent a photo.
Right. And I'll tell you, that is I'm guessing that was a major discussion point in that newsroom.
In the meeting. Man, I wish we had transcripts from that meeting.
The guy, do you want to read one of his quotes? Because I thought it was brilliant. Okay, and I love it. So this is Kellerman as he looks back at this whole thing. There were probably more people at the food court at the mall that showed up at the Capitol for this demonstration.
That was pretty good.
More cops there than actually protesters. That sort of thing. But he explained it. This is it. The last thing. This is Austin Kellerman. Kellerman, right? Isn't that his name?
I think that's how.
Okay, and he's the
I think
news
that's how you
director.
pronounce it. It's Kellerman.
Yep. Quote, the last thing I want to do is censor the news from you. We're telling you about it so that you're aware, and we'll let you know if anything major happens. However, we won't give them what they're looking for. They won't get that attention grab and extended camera time.
Right. And that's why they sent the photojournalist to be on the ground near the protesters. And in addition to that, they planted a reporter high upon a rooftop somewhere of a nearby building to observe.
Right. Which I think is actually a great thing to do, because you're not going, again, let's just stay out of the way,
Right.
not in public eye.
But at least be there in
Right.
case something happens.
Right.
And now the other
I'd
stations...
like to think other stations around the country will look at this example and say,
really
you
hope
know
so.
what? I really
hope
like
so.
what they did in Little Rock,
Yeah.
and it's going to backfire on these blankers.
Beep, 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 beep.
Okay.
No, you're right. And other stations offered kind of the same philosophy, but a little different. Some didn't air it live, but
One
had
station, I
something.
believe, one station tried to cover it.
Yeah, well, according to this, they covered it. They sent someone there, and they ran it on a later newscast. But nobody covered it the way that you normally cover these things, which is everybody goes out there and you're streaming and you're tweeting and you're doing a live shot standing there. They didn't give it the kind of attention that these things normally get. And I'm telling you, we often yell at or complain about or criticize the media for not doing enough and not being responsible enough and not living up to some of the, Society of Professional Journalists ethics code, right? And this is a case where not only did they live up to it, but they smashed a home run.
Right.
And we need to applaud this kind of thing. And I think that the more, as you pointed out, hopefully this will be a guide for other stations because the more that this kind of thing happens, the better I think not only our industry will be, but I think the viewers will be.
So,
as well.
you are very familiar. You're more familiar with this organization than I am, the Radio and Television News Directors of America.
Yeah, RTNDA.
Because you've won awards from them.
I have one or two. Yes, I have won some awards.
I've only been nasty to them. As a sports guy,
you have to be kind to them in order to win.
Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though you like more people than I do.
Yeah.
I'm just not nasty.
I understand.
To them.
I know, but exactly. But anyway, story is again. I'm guessing that this will get a lot of attention inside the RTNDA, and they will discuss it, and it will have more of a positive effect, therefore backfiring on those who are feeding the hateful doctrine that is out there. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And I'm going to bring it into the classroom as well. As you know, I teach a class as well on this. And I want to take it into the classroom and use this as a case study because it is, again, oftentimes it's negative stuff we're talking about. This is something really positive, and the way it was handled so thoughtfully is a real lesson for us all. What do you think? We'd like to hear from you. If you like this episode, let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter. And if you have any questions or comments, let us know at info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. Why are some of YouTube's biggest stars buckling under pressure? Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter. And listen on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Away, thoughtful standards for modern travel. Away makes suitcases for the way we all actually travel, with features like an ejectable TSA-approved battery or built-in front pocket, and they come in a range of colors and materials that really suit your travel style. Away has the perfect gift for everyone on your list, because this holiday season, everyone wants to get away. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com and enter promo code CLNS. So, Jimmy.
Yes.
They are YouTube's A-listers. You know those. You've heard of them, or some of them.
I am fascinated. Fascinated by this that this happens.
I know. There are people who sit in their homes and do everything from here's how you should paint your fingernails to let me tell you the life hacks, how to put fuel in your car with water and cheese. I don't know. They tell you these things, and they get millions of people who watch. Steven, do you watch YouTubers?
Yes, I do.
Oh, there you go. We finally. Normally the answer is no, because he stays. Steven, our millennial, often is very unmillennial in many of his technological pursuits.
Yes.
So who's the big YouTuber that you often follow?
I don't have like a single person.
I was amazed, by the way, all these names. I didn't realize there were this many.
I didn't recognize any of them.
No, because
if you say the names, I'll recognize them probably, though.
Oh, okay. Hang on. We got that.
Let's see here.
PewDiePie.
Yep.
You know PewDiePie?
You know PewDiePie.
I know him.
What about Ruben?
Huh?
Ruben? And it's like Ruben Network.
Jake Paul.
Ruben
Oh,
has
God,
30
Jake
million
Paul.
subscribers.
Yeah, I know of him.
Wow. So
No.
this really fascinated me because I was driving down the street this week, and it was NPR that had this story with a couple of YouTubers, these A-list YouTubers, who get millions of followers, anywhere from a couple million to 30, 45 million subscribers.
Let's make sure that the people who are listening to this podcast recognize that we do understand that when you deliver an audience that size to YouTube,
Yes.
it's a revenue
Oh,
generator.
this is all about money.
Right. Thank you very much. We haven't really mentioned
No,
that
no,
yet.
no,
I
we
wanted
were getting
make
to
sure.
that.
I know.
We were getting to that.
I wanted to make
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
that people understand.
Oh,
that's,
this is all about
right.
money.
That's right. Thank you.
So, for example, if I had 1 million followers on YouTube, I could potentially be making hundreds of thousands of dollars per month.
Right.
Not per year, ladies and gentlemen, but
Right.
per month.
Correct.
These are people, again, we're not necessarily talking about highbrow media content. We're
No.
talking about whatever you like.
Something you might shoot on your iPhone.
So, in fact, most of it is probably what you
Or record it on your computer,
Or
your
record it
laptop.
on your laptop, right.
Or your iPad or your whatever pad you use.
Exactly.
Surface or whatever.
That doesn't sound right, but whatever. But anyway, so there are all of these.
I'm sorry. I'm not used to you going to an
I don't
area
go
where
there.
you
I never
was
go there.
Why in the world would you do that?
I would
Dan? Okay.
never go.
I know, I was
I
like-
don't go into dark alleys, into trash cans,
Right.
into dead end street. I don't go. But once in a while, I am human.
Okay.
And once in a
Yes.
while, something is said that triggers the rawest inner being of even me.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was found out. Not only did I find out that you were human today,
Yes.
that you're a black man. I had no idea. I had no idea.
I'm a black human.
Yes,
ladies and
you're a
gentlemen.
black human. I was
Yes.
like, wow.
Okay.
Didn't know
So,
that. Okay.
so now that the wheels have come off the cart here,
Yeah.
So
Back to YouTubers.
Back to YouTubers. There is this unbelievable A-list group of people who are cranking out a lot of content and making a lot of money on YouTube.
There you go. Very
So,
important. to
so
say
that's sort of the story.
Right.
Now, the second part of the story is that there is this increasing pressure for them to do better than the last thing that they did because, according to the YouTubers, there's a thing called algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this thinking among these A-listers that if you don't feed the beast, the algorithm bites you. In other words,
It's almost like an addictive behavior that it's feeding.
exactly. And if you aren't cranking out, if every video you put out doesn't get 1 million downloads or 1 million views or whatever your metric is, then the algorithm will start saying, you're growing cold, and so you're not going to get the best ranking. Therefore, you're not going to get the money you thought you were going to get. And so because of that, people who are producing this content are driving themselves into madness to produce even better content the next time and the next time and the next time. And apparently there's this growing problem of depression and anxiety and just major breakdown from all of these stars. I didn't even know this was going on.
And by the way, I cannot call them stars.
They are stars.
I don't agree with
My-
that 100%.
they
have no
are
talent.
Well,
They don't have talent.
well, of
They're
course they have
creating-
talent.
They're creating crappy content
you may
about
not
their
like
lives.
you may not like the talent that they have, but they have talent. Okay, I'll tell you what. If there is no talent, Jimmy, by next week, I want you to have 2 million followers on YouTube
I don't have any
with
talent.
highbrow.
I'm not saying I do. And certainly if I start turning the camera on myself, we're turning people off, not turning them on. Okay?
Oh my goodness!
That being said, look, to me, you have to have some kind of a skill
They're-
to have talent.
they're-
So if there's,
they're-
hang on a second.
Yes.
It's mob behavior. They're creating mob behavior on the internet. That's what they're doing.
but the
they're
thing is-
feeding the mob mentality. Those who
Yes.
have the littlest teeny weeny lives have no life. They have little. They're entertained by stupid little things. Sorry,
Well,
Steve.
Well, my daughter watches one of those makeup plays. You say so now you're calling my daughter stupid now.
No, I
She
think
comes
that-
in here and cleans the office, Jimmy.
I know that.
She vacuums the floor in your office.
No, she's also the fastest
Runner
cleaner
in the
I've
world.
ever seen.
So she misses a lot of
Right.
things. is
No,
what
no,
you're
no,
saying.
no. Then back to this. Look.
Yes.
Obviously, if talent is generating an income through video,
Right.
if that's your definition of what it is,
right, then they have talent.
Then they have talent.
Right. And that's all they do. They sit there on their beds and they produce content. I'm not saying that this is, worthy of some big honorable award, although, YouTube gives them an award. Once you cross the 1 million threshold, you actually get like the golden plaque or something.
Right.
So they are rewarded, and everyone knows within a certain age group knows who these people are, right? But there's this ongoing problem of burnout and mental health, and they even to the point where a lot of them are doing these very forthcoming videos of themselves
explaining that I'm done. I'm having
done.
A breakdown. I'm blanking unhappy. I'm so blanking unhappy because I've done this and I've created a monster.
Exactly, and they have to keep feeding
know how to handle it.
Right.
And again, I really do believe that these social media sites take advantage of the human flaws that we all have, and using their little algorithms, feed, put gas on the fire.
They do.
They feed it.
And now here's the thing. So there are a lot of people out there.
So if one of these I hate to say this, but they're following,
they're going down that path.
They're going down that path.
Saying.
They're very depressed. If they decide to take their lives away from the world,
who are they going to blame?
Do you blame YouTube? Can you prosecute a social media company?
No, I don't think, and I don't think you should blame them. So here's the thing.
It's a great SVU.
It is.
It's a great Law and Order episode.
Here's the thing.
Boom, boom.
I agree. There is some empathy for these folks.
Of course,
right? There are people out because they're expressing real anxiety, real pain. On a human level, you feel sorry for them, number one.
Right.
Number two, though, and I'm sort of like inching over to the number two category. There are a lot of comments where people said, okay, in life, you have to get up in the morning and you have to go to work. Right. And you're sitting there complaining about making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, sitting in your pajamas in a bed, talking in front of a camera. Everybody has to work. Everybody has stresses from work. Everybody has to make a paycheck. Steven's raising his hand. I think he might have some issue with what I'm saying.
Okay, I'm playing devil's advocate right here right now.
Yes.
Why, if they're complaining about it and they're putting it into a video about it?
Yeah.
Aren't they trying to get sympathy and get more views that way?
Now he's being Mr. Cynic over there. I mean, look, I think that you could argue that is in fact the case. But if they are going and seeking medical help, then I think there's a real issue here. But my problem is this the result of what we've complained about with millennials, that they want it all, but then when it gets a little tough,
it's that instant gratification that they want.
Exactly, but they don't want the pain and the anguish that comes with it.
Correct.
I mean, there have been days, and I've loved my career since day one. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, day one. But yes. I've loved my career since day one. I haven't loved every day of my career, but I've loved it since day one. There were days when I got up and I felt like pulling the cover over my face, my news director. I wanted to punch my news director. I didn't like some of the people I was with. My story fell apart. The pressure of making the deadline, the live shot, messing up on a live shot. It's a function of life, where you get up and it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows every single day, but you somehow have to deal with it. And this is some of the criticism we're seeing, that these guys have pretty much a charmed life where they're making a lot of money being stars, not having to travel anywhere, and now they're complaining that it's too much work.
Right. Well, we even beyond YouTube, humans, we talk about the work-life balance.
Right. Yes,
when
we do.
Pick a career or we have a job. And it's always difficult for anyone to balance that.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we all get that, and some of us have been less successful at that than others.
Balance.
Yeah, but in the YouTube social media world, they created their own monster now, and that monster has consumed their mental state. It's impacted their mental state, and we talk about the dangers of power.
Right.
Okay. When you have an audience that follows you, it's power. We know that there are instances in history where people who have ideas that are contrary to the rest of the world can still develop a following, and it can be a dangerous following.
No, you're right. Yes, you're right.
And it's playing on the human frailties.
It is, but at the end of the day, we're not just talking about one or two people. Apparently, I mean, we saw, maybe a dozen different names of people who were in this category and complaining about the stress and so forth. I didn't know any of the names, but I guarantee you, not a single one of these YouTubers complaining is in their 40s.
Good job.
Or 50s,
I think you're right.
Because anybody who's in their 40s and 50s and they're making $500,000 a month or whatever, sitting back in their pajamas with slippers on and with ice cream stains on their T-shirt, talking about something silly that is somewhat of a skill, probably wouldn't be complaining about stress. Because they've been out in the real world and know what it's like to be working in the hot sun, paving a road, putting a roof on a house in Florida,
and also living paycheck to paycheck.
And living paycheck to paycheck. So I do think. Look, I'm not discounting that they aren't feeling real pain. I'm not looking to make fun of someone who is dealing with stress. At the same time, it's life. And we have to look at it through those glasses as well. You can't ignore that every job and everything we do in life is stressful.
Okay, I want to go back to the algorithms. And
yes.
I want to go behind the media.
Behind the media.
We've talked about algorithms with Facebook.
Yeah.
And we've now talked about algorithms with YouTube.
Yes.
And both are designed to make money for these social media, designed to maximize audience.
Yes.
Using certain metrics and magic. Lord knows
it's magic.
It's magic.
Yes,
right?
it is.
But
we don't know the trick.
We know. That's right. No, we don't. But we know that there are people at YouTube and at Facebook and at Twitter and at Instagram who are looking at this every day, and they're certainly much smarter than I am.
Yeah, they're much smarter
Probably
than
MIT graduates,
Probably.
Because everything comes down to math.
Right.
Okay? They've created a math issue or problem, and they know how to generate the numbers for these, I'm going to call them, these stupid videos.
Please send all
Stupid
complaints
is,
to Jimmy.
Look, I'm sorry. If I think there was any value in it, maybe I'd be one of the followers. I do not see value in this.
Oh, I would see value in it if it was my site and I owned it.
You'd see the value
every time I go to my bank account. Exactly. There's value in that.
But you've been mature enough to understand that isn't the answer to everything now.
Oh,
Dan,
no,
is it?
What you mean? Bad content or good content?
No, I'm talking about having a lot of money, earning a lot of money.
No, it isn't. But I also realized that I've done good content that nobody saw or wanted.
I've been doing that my whole life. Come on. The highlight of your life is when Bobby Orr throws you in the Charles River and you're on every station in Boston once.
Yes.
That's the highlight. That was the highlight of my broadcast career.
I think you ought to get that video and put it on a loop.
I know where it is.
And you might be an A-lister on YouTube.
Oh, that's so funny. I know where that lives.
I would put that out there, man.
I got to get...
and then start a franchise on it when Jimmy gets thrown.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And like when Letterman used to throw things off of... he used to throw things off buildings or whatever.
Right.
We could have that when Jimmy...
Who do you want to put in the dunk tank?
Right, dunk tank.
Really
and Jimmy gets dunked everywhere. Let's do that. Jimmy's videos of being dunked. That's smart programming.
I do want to get access. I know where they are. I've talked to the NECN.
So get that.
They're in the
and
files
let's start
in New
your
Hampshire
YouTube
somewhere.
channel.
Yes.
And then you can complain about how you're getting all this money and you're not happy. Let's get there.
Let's get there and let's worry about that. All right.
So for YouTube's part, according to The Guardian talked to them, or at least got a statement, and YouTube says they're encouraging these A-listers to take breaks, to take vacations, to enjoy their weekends. So you're right. The algorithm created by YouTube has fueled a lot of this, but they're saying you need to also be responsible and realize that there are pressures that come with this. So handle it with care.
Yeah, one of these guys has been doing it for 7 years without stopping.
Yeah, well, you know what? I've been breathing my entire life without stopping.
That's right, me too.
And when I do, it will not be my life.
But you've heard this cliche.
Yes.
Sometimes there's too much of a good thing.
Yes, like ice cream.
Right. Moderation
yes.
is the key to a happy life and professional balance.
Yeah. Have you ever gone out with anybody by the name of Moderation?
No.
I don't know. That's one of those weird kind of
moderation.
Yeah.
No, I don't know any moderations.
I've never even heard.
By the way, I've avoided a lot of the moderations too. I might add.
So
we could go there if you really want to.
That's why Jimmy didn't go out with moderation. Anyway, if you like this episode, let us know. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag #BehindTheMedia to engage with us on Twitter. Have any questions or comments? Reach out to us at info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. It's halftime, ladies and gentlemen, and today's episode is powered by Away, thoughtful standards for modern travel. Away makes suitcases for the way we all actually travel, with features like an ejectable TSA-approved battery, which, Jimmy, you would love something like that, to just always have your phone charged, all your devices charged. Wouldn't you like to have something built in? Well, I think you just want a nice suitcase for your clothes, right?
I need a nice, lightweight suitcase for my clothes. Yes.
Okay. Well, Away has everything that Jimmy or anyone else out there might like, and not just in boring colors, but really a whole plethora of colors, a palette of colors to meet your and suit your travel style.
You really are a wordsmith, Ben.
I'm a wordsmith and I know it. That doesn't rhyme. Away suitcases are also made from lightweight, durable German polycarbonate or aluminum alloy. So if you're not working out like me, you can still lift it and not be strained. The interior compression system lets you pack more. They come with 360-degree spinner wheels, guaranteeing a smooth ride. There's the TSA-approved combination lock and a removable washable laundry bag. Away has the perfect gift for everyone on your list. Because this holiday season, everyone wants to get away. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com and enter promo code CLNS. So, Jimmy, it's time for our third quarter. Isn't it nice that we get into our conversations and we just rip right through our show, and I don't know that people can get this from anywhere else.
You have fun.
I do have fun.
You enjoy this. I know you do.
Of course I enjoy it because we plan for it, but there's always this other layer of stuff that's unplanned and actually ends up being pretty interesting.
Okay, whatever you say, Dan. I don't know how much planning goes into it. That's
the
best part.
There's a lot of planning. I
plan.
see notes on your desk right now, and they're highlighted.
I highlighted.
That's planning.
That's planning.
Okay,
you got it.
Yahoo launches a not-so-subtle ad campaign, and social media is outraged. Can you say backfired? Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook, use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter, and listen on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Away, thoughtful standards for modern travel. Away makes suitcases for the way we all actually travel, with features like an ejectable TSA-approved battery or a built-in front pocket. And they come in a range of colors and materials that suit your travel style. Away has the perfect gift for everyone on your list because this holiday season, everyone wants to get away. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com and enter promo code CLNS. So the Yahoo campaign goes like this. See all sides, right?
Yeah.
And
I saw it. I saw all sides.
You saw all sides. Backside.
Yeah. This is a very, very touchy subject.
It is.
And I'm not quite sure if I'm not even sure what is the right way to handle it. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, usually you can tell what's right and what's wrong.
Right. Yes. There are certain sorts of rights and a certain sort of wrong. And what the idea behind this campaign was, See All Sides campaign, was, first of all, promoting this new newsroom app. Which essentially gives you, it sounds like a little bit of what a bridge
100% like
isn't
a bridge.
It? It's basically a 360 view of one story.
Right.
From all different
viewpoints.
I was going to send something out to our friends at a bridge to say, look, what's going on here? But essentially, that's what it is. They liked it so much, they copied it. Exactly.
Imitation is the
best form of flattery.
And reason to sue.
So they have this newsroom app, and it is part of the promotion campaign around this app. They launched this See All Sides campaign. And what it is essentially are these walls. It's a graphic of two walls.
Right.
And one wall is blue and another wall is red.
Yeah.
Interesting why they would put those colors, first of all.
First mistake,
right. On one wall it says, immigrants endanger us. And on the other wall it says, immigrants enrich us.
Right.
Immigrants enrich us. That has caused quite the stir out there on social media, and people thinking that it's irresponsible to launch a campaign like this where you are parroting essentially the misguided words of people who say things like immigrants endanger us. And by putting both of these together on these walls next to each other as part of this ad campaign, what they in fact are saying that there are two sides to this story, and essentially both are legitimate. There's a side that says that immigrants will endanger us, and there's the other side that says immigrants will enrich us. Now, if you talk to some people, they truly believe that an immigrant will endanger us. If that's the case, then nobody should be in the United States other than the Native Americans.
Yes.
Because then we're all endangering each other because we're all immigrants on this Mother Earth here in the United States.
Except we'll have to give back a lot of land.
We'll have to give back all the land.
That's right.
Yes. So, that therein lies a major problem. But this notion that you should be giving equal value, and we saw your friend Donald Trump, who talked about this a while back with the protest, when essentially he was saying there were good people and bad people on all sides. No, there are certain things that there aren't two sides to the story. There's one right side oftentimes, or one more than right side, and the other one is hogwash that shouldn't get any attention whatsoever. And that's what's at the heart of this campaign and the blowback that they're getting.
Well, and the timing of it isn't the best either, Dan. The fact that we actually have a horde of immigrants that are being banned from coming in to our
trying
borders.
To play off of that.
That's right. Oh, you think?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, we're talking about it.
Right. Oh, no, absolutely. I guess so. But again, it's the insensitivity. There's insensitivity in the media. It's there, and here's a perfect example of it. Not the best time. They use the wrong colors, red and blue, so immediately it plays to the political divide in this country.
Exactly. It's the wall.
It's the wall. That's right. It's the wall.
It's the wall.
Oh, the
Again,
wall that he was going to build. Right. That is, who the heck knows who's going to. Whatever.
Well, now he's seeking money from Congress to help buid the wall.
Oh, yeah. Sure. How's that going to work out?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But you're right. It seems as if they were taking advantage of a hot button issue that they knew would get attention, would get people all worked up. After all, that's sort of what you want to do with an ad campaign. But there comes a time where you have to sit back and say, or step back and say, are we throwing fuel on a fire?
Are we yelling fire in a crowded theater?
Right. And the sense among some who are criticizing this campaign is that, in fact,
They did.
They did.
Right.
Now, based on what this was the Huffington Post that actually reached out to them and got a statement, and part of their story, they said that Yahoo responded this way: "These, quote, these ads are meant to reflect the current state of our country and the polarizing conversations taking place on a number of issues." So their argument is that we're not the ones saying this. They're just reflecting what's already happening out there. Again, I think it goes back to the argument of, should you be reflecting everything that people are saying out there? Is that responsible to always be reflecting what's going on out there, if in fact what you're reflecting is just wrong?
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words on that one, Dan, because I'm not quite sure where to go with it, because I'm not sure.
Okay, so that's breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, we might even want to ring the bell.
All right.
Yes, ring the bell, because Jimmy just announced that he was speechless. And to my knowledge, since he cried when he came into this world, he has never been without sound, to my knowledge. And so this is breaking news territory here for Jimmy. Jimmy's turning a little red, by the way.
I am. I'm a little embarrassed by it, but I don't know really what to say. I'm sorry. I think that, look, if it was a purple, oh no, that wouldn't be good, because purple, right? Oh, pink. Oh, wait, can't use pink, can't use purple. What
brown.
color?
Oh, you can't use brown.
Brown. Oh,
black.
God.
You can't use that.
Oh God, what colors are left?
Fuchsia.
We could use fuchsia.
You can't. No, you can't.
I thought fuchsia was a mix between red and purple.
Yeah, but that might look more like pink. Mauve. I think every color has a detachment. What is it? Yellow? Yeah. Oh no, you can't use yellow.
Why?
Because it
looks like the sun.
No,
yellow?
It's racist.
Oh, that's right.
That's racist. Yeah, you can't use race. You can't use
that's
that.
What I mean. I just found out today you were black. I'm so shocked at that alone. I'm like, I can't believe it. Now I got to talk about colors of walls.
Yes. Jimmy just found out about. If you're just tuning into this portion of the podcast, in another podcast, Jimmy learned today that I was black because I stated it, and so it was something that had been lost on him, even though I have not been covering up my arms or my face since we have known each other. But this is, look, I think it's a wonderful conversation to have. And I don't know, this isn't one that I chalk up as an egregious, sinful thing by an ad campaigns. No. After all, the purpose of a good campaign is to stir emotions, to get people talking about things, to get attention to the product that you're pitching. If, in fact, that's what they were trying to do, which we think they are, then it succeeded.
They're
right?
feeding off the polarizing communities in our society right now.
Yes, they are.
And this is the back end of that quote from Yahoo News and their spokesperson.
Right.
Yahoo News has a long history as a nonpartisan news organization with a mission to present divergent perspectives.
Okay.
Well, there's a whole ton of those divergent perspectives out there these days, right?
And do you have to showcase them all, or certainly
this
as part
time.
of at this time in this way?
We talk about it on Behind the Media.
And
Did it accomplish what they wanted to accomplish?
Yes, it did.
I didn't even know Yahoo had a news organization.
Well, but they have this new app. That's why they they haven't had it. That's the reason they have this campaign, because they want you to know that they have it, and now we've helped them tell you that they have it.
Yeah, but I think they stole it from our friend Laura.
They did. Yes.
Okay,
we need to get after them for that.
Well, we should certainly send her a link to this episode. She'll
Definitely.
like that.
Hey, we want to hear what you have to say about this. If you like this episode, let us know. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. And reach out to us at info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. It's that time, ladies and gentlemen, for Bites Behind the Media, making you smarter around the water cooler. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. And listen on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Away, thoughtful standards for modern travel. Away makes suitcases for the way we all actually travel, with features like an ejectable TSA-approved battery or built-in front pocket, and they come in a range of colors and materials that suit your travel style. Away has the perfect gift for everyone on your list, because this holiday season, everyone wants to get away. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com and enter promo code CLNS. Okay, so what happened to Mike? I think it's Mike or Mick or MIC, whichever one. But this is kind of interesting because we've always talked about how millennials are the key to the success of any enterprise. Millennials like Steven, right, Steven? If millennials are in on something, it's probably going to be hot, right?
Oh, okay, from that regard. Because I was about to say, if we're the key to everything, I think we're doomed.
An honest review on millennials from our in-house millennial.
And we love self-deprecating humor, by the way. That is the best way
we were talking in terms of millennials are the favorites of advertisers. You always have to appeal to millennials in order to have readership.
Well, I also think it's a challenge to reach those millennials.
Exactly.
Because they are a mobile group of people.
They're hiding in the shadows, but not really out there in plain sight.
They have their faces in their phones.
That's why they're in the shadows.
And they walk this. By the way, I was walking the streets of Boston yesterday. It's dangerous.
Oh, really?
Well, you have to pay attention.
Were you doing anything or just roaming the streets? You were on your way somewhere, right?
I had 3 appointments.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you were walking. I thought, Jimmy.
I was walking to each appointment.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you just weren't roaming around the streets of Boston.
No.
Okay.
I actually have an interesting story about that. Do you want to know?
Well, how long is it?
It's short and sweet.
Okay.
And there are people out there who think I got taken, but I don't think so. So a serviceman who was dressed in army fatigues.
Yes.
And he's neatly dressed. You know how they fold their little hats in their
they fold it in the belt.
Right. So I didn't think this guy looked legit, right?
Yeah. Too legit to quit.
And he goes, "Really, I hate to bother you." And he's, I'm just walking by him. I hate to bother you. I said, "But I'm in a little trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get some money to get gas so I can get home."
Yeah.
And I don't. It's so awkward. I've been calling people. I can't get anybody on the phone.
You gave him money.
I gave him $5.
Was there a gas station nearby?
No. He was walking the streets. He was on the street.
Yeah, you got taken.
He was next to a car that I assumed was his car.
Well, he had to get the car somewhere to get the gas. So what I would have said is, "Hey, where's your car? This is my car right here." Okay.
He says, "Would you like to see my military ID?"
I don't care. Anybody can make one of those. You just need a little car.
Look, I have a dear friend who's a retired colonel in the Army.
Yes.
I have a soft spot for our service.
I have a soft spot as well.
And he got me. I happen to have an extra $5 in my pocket.
I would have said, you know how you should have said, "I have a gallon of gas in my car. Let me go get the tank," and see what he said. It's like, "Oh, no. I'm okay, then you would have known. That's what I would have called him on the bluff right away, and he said, okay, thank you. Then I would said, actually, let's go to a gas station and get the gas.
He looked at me, and he figured he had an easy mark.
He had an easy mark. So anyway, how did we get there? Oh, you were walking around,
right?
Millennials, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So, okay,
exactly.
So there's this magazine, and it's been millennial-focused, digital magazine. They laid off 100 people, which is pretty much the majority of their staff. They're trying to figure out some of the assets that will be sold off to another company because they had this deal with Facebook, apparently, that fell apart, and a lot of the funding would have come through that. They actually raised, at one point, a total of $60 million. That's how they raised for this digital presence that they had. I had gone there, and I enjoyed some of the articles that they had. Whenever I wanted to know what the millennials were talking about, I would go to this magazine.
So it was a millennial media company.
Exactly. That's what it was. Now, here's the interesting thing, and it's the nagging problem that all new ventures and even ventures that have been around for a little while in the digital space and news or information, this is the wall that they all run into. Even if with $60 million, they, quote, couldn't find a big model to support costs.
Okay.
They couldn't find that model to support costs. They apparently had like an office space, like floor at the World Trade Center, in New York. Very expensive.
I mean,
right. They should have been in pop-up trailers somewhere.
Right.
But
if you're going to run a startup, run it like a startup. Learn what bootstrapping is, will you please?
Yeah, I think they probably overspent.
Everything in New York
is expensive.
So
maybe you shouldn't be in New York.
Costs you money.
Maybe
right.
go somewhere else.
Right. Exactly.
So, but again, it points to the big problem is, can you come up with a model that supports the release of information? Put out. We all love to get. Now there you go, Jimmy. This is really good content that they have a hard time trying to figure out what the business model is. But back to our other podcast talking about those YouTubers who are just talking about something goofy, bugs on the street or whatever, and they're getting millions of people and monetizing it. There is a skill to that, because when the skillful folks try to do something legitimate, as you would see it, they have a hard time building a model out of it.
Right.
So
it's that
anyway,
sensationalism,
exactly.
Neat, different. I've never seen it before.
Right. Anyway, so yeah, there's one company that's going down. The other company going up, it's called The Correspondent. That is a new venture, actually, and they decided to go to crowdfunding in order to get support for this ad-free platform that's going to offer news that's not breaking news. They call it, I think their tagline is unbreaking news. So it's very thoughtful content that's
long form,
and even short form, but it's not driven by the breaking news mentality. And so they decided we're going to do a crowdfunding campaign, and they've already surpassed $1 million. They're shooting, they think now they're on course to get about $2.5 million. So far, they've collected all that money from nearly 15,000 people in 98 countries.
Wow.
So it shows that there's this hunger and thirst for good quality journalism out there. If you tee it up the right way, you can go around like this military person did and ask for $5 and they'll give it to you.
Especially if you get suckers on the street like me walking in Boston. But
exactly.
Anyway.
You got anything, Jimmy?
Yeah, I got two things.
Yeah.
One is, we always talk about how wonderful it is, the Hallmark Channel this time of year.
Yes, it is. Isn't that? Like all those wonderful holiday movies.
I will admit, I watched the holiday movie. I know you're going to ask me.
You cried.
The Prince. I cried. And the funny thing is that Donna, my significant other, was right next to me.
Yes.
And
that's nice. You guys now sit next to each other.
We sit next to each other watching TV. It was an afternoon
Were you holding
movie.
hands?
No, I do not believe there was any physical
connection. Okay.
But
we'll work to that.
She knows exactly. You'll
have
the
to play
kind
this
of
part
goofy,
of the segment.
mushy.
Direct her to this part of the show.
Yes, I know we will. She knows exactly. She does not need a show. She lives with the show. Anyway, she knows exactly the emotional button to push with me.
Yes.
And she goes, "Are you going to cry?" "Oh God, you're already crying." I said, "Donna, it's the Hallmark Channel. You're supposed to cry. It's a happy cry."
And you started crying.
Of course.
So
it was the Princess Exchange or something. It's the old, the identical type. It's an old story told a different way.
Is this the one with the journalist?
No, it was a princess and a.
Yeah, but there's a princess kind of thing that's the journalist. They go. It has like a little journalism.
There's
thread
been
in
about 50 different
like
types of. Right. This is a theme.
Oh, it's a theme.
Yeah, it's like the Prince and the Pauper.
Oh, okay.
Prince and the Pauper, female style, modern twist, and.
But did you feel cozy though after you went to bed? It
was at 4:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, well.
Okay, so,
well, wait a minute. Who's watching at 4:00 in the afternoon? You were watching a feel-good movie?
Yeah, on a Saturday.
Oh, it was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And my honey needs timeouts. She needs to take time away from her.
Yeah, I don't
crazy
know
life.
that I've watched a feel-good movie. Maybe I have in the afternoon. Usually at that point, I want something that'll rattle me.
Okay, well, rattle away.
Okay.
I've got one more item. Can
Okay.
I get it in?
Yes, you can.
All right, so this is, I'm
You are Reverend Jimmy Young.
Hallelujah.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. I love sports.
Yes, you. Oh,
And
really?
I follow it, and I'm always looking for sports media bites.
Yes.
Okay,
bites,
so I
right.
got one.
Right. Okay.
Now have we talked about Joe Buck?
Yes, we have. Yes,
talked
have.
about Joe
Yeah,
Buck,
I know
right?
Joe Buck. Well, I know him through. My wife worked with his
Dad?
No, with his sister.
With his sister Buck.
She was an anchor, Sister Buck. Is she a member of your congregation?
I don't
Sister
know.
Buck,
I don't
come
know.
on up,
Sister
Sister
Buck.
Buck.
All right.
She was an anchor at a station in St. Louis, and my wife was her executive producer. So I have two degrees
St.
of
Louis,
separation
and
from.
St. Louis is where Jack Buck
Exactly.
who was the Hall of Fame broadcaster,
Right.
no longer with us.
And some people like him.
Jack and hang on.
No,
I'm talking about
everybody
Jack.
likes the dad.
Everybody loved Jack.
Joe Buck.
He is a
Some people
polarized-
love him,
and
or some people hate him.
I mean,
Right.
in fact, there's a YouTuber who rips him all the time.
But now is taking a break from YouTube because they're stressed out.
Right, because he's all stressed out about it. Game 2 of the World Series.
Yes.
That I was at.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to say that
Yeah.
I was at this
We'll
game.
always hear
Thank you,
about
Brother
this.
Mark. Thank you, Brother Mark.
Yes.
Joe
Who's
Buck
also a
was
member
doing-
of the congregation.
Yes, Joe Buck was doing play-by-play, and of course, Andrew Benintendi made an exceptional catch going to his right from left
You're going
field.
back like a month now.
Right, that's only a month, but
I'm
this
just-
is the
yeah.
reason. This is the reason.
No, I'm not criticizing you. I'm just pointing out for those out there who may not know that baseball's over with now.
Right.
Right.
So anyway, the point of this fourth quarter bite was
Yes.
there was a great moment in that game when
Right.
Andrew Benintendi made a catch and he flew through the air
Right, yeah.
and he caught it backhand and it was right in front of the ALE standings on the,
Oh, it was
on
beautiful.
the wall.
And there was a picture, and it
was
looked like it could have been a
It
nutcracker.
was Jim Davis's picture, okay? And sure enough, Joe Buck, I guess it was on a was it on a podcast? I'm not sure. But as it turned out, Joe Buck said, got to send that to the Globe right away because that's going to be a great picture. He's pointing out a great moment in time. Jim, he'd never seen the picture before. So he's in October. I'm about as far away from Twitter as I can be, but someone sent me the tweet or the screen grab that said something like, "Hey, Buck, we got the picture." So I was aware. And then Buck said, "I praise the photographer rising to my challenge, of course. But if you think about it, he had the photo before I even brought it up."
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Like most announcers, not that we ever acknowledge it, but we steal half our information from places like the Boston Globe and put it on our broadcast.
Ooh,
so
he
I
admitted
figure
it.
we should give a shout out when we can. And that's the holiday giving spirit.
That's the holiday
And
giving
that's what I
spirit.
liked about this story.
Joe Buck, Santa Claus.
I like Joe Buck.
I think it's smart. There's an ease of listening
Yes.
with his voice.
Right. To me, by the way, as a play-by-play broadcaster,
Right.
it is your tone and sound of your voice
Right.
that I think makes or breaks your career.
Yeah.
Then again, there's a few exceptions, and there's one certainly here in this market that I won't
there
mention.
There are some. But, when you think of Harlan, his voice, it
we're
Look,
on
but yeah, football,
back on basketball. now.
basketball. No, he does.
Oh,
he does
yeah,
football too.
everything.
He does everything.
Yeah.
First of all, I should say I love him.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. I've never met him.
Yep.
But I love him. But
It's like everybody feels about Vince Scully.
But
I mean, my
there's
God.
really nothing when you think about it. There's nothing special about it other than the fact that it is special.
He's easy to listen to.
But it's
like
not
your voice, Dan.
But it's not. But my voice. Well, thank you, Jimmy.
I believe it is.
But
Go ahead. You can read the phone book. Oh wait, we don't have a phone book.
No, we don't. I can read the contact list.
Read your contacts.
Oh
and
wait,
I'll be
I
entertained.
ran out of battery power. There's something that's not the typical thing about it. But if I'm switching around, he does a commercial now. I will pause to hear his commercials. There's just something about that voice because it's unique.
And
nobody else sounds like him.
Right, and that is important.
Yes, it is. Okay, I have one final one, Jimmy.
Okay.
What Americans spend on media? What do you think? Is it? Let's give you a multiple choice, and Stephen, you can weigh in on this as well. Is it $500 a year that they spend on media? Is it $750 a year, or is it more than $1,000?
Okay.
that they spend in media. And we're talking about, digital media subscriptions, buying books, subscribing to Netflix.
Movies?
That kind of thing. No, not going out to. It has to be sort of.
That's still media.
I don't think that was calculated, but or more than 1,000. What would be your
in-home media? How's that?
Right. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
But it's okay. So what would you say? It's $500, $750, or over 1,000?
I'd say over 1,000.
Okay. What would you say? $750. Okay, the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, is $1,344.55. It's broken down right to the 55 cents. How do we know this? Well, it's a global research company called PQ Media, and they put out this report that spells out that that's how much Americans, and each American is spending, or each person in America, each person in America is spending each year for digital subscriptions, entertainment, books, Netflix, and so forth. It shows that people want their media, and they're willing to pay for it. And it's one area where they're keeping up spending.
Sure, and then they take shots at the people that they paid to hear and listen to because they're in the media. So it's a cathartic. There's a cathartic release.
Yes, it is.
And what was the name of that media company? Pikachu Media. What was that?
Not Pikachu. PQ.
Oh, PQ.
Pikachu.
Do you know that the kids in my class and Dean made me play the Pikachu movie trailer?
No, I did not.
They did do that.
Oh,
they
my
made
goodness.
me like me. I'll do anything anybody asks me.
Yes,
to do
you will, because Jimmy likes to put on a show.
That's right.
Even if there's not a show there, he'll put on a show.
Yes, I will.
And the people will come to see it because that's what happens with all reverends. They put on a show, and people show up in the pews and listen to it.
I love it.
Okay, well, this has been again another fun conversation. Boy, I know I say this for you who have been listening for a while, and maybe it sounds a little fake or whatever. It isn't fake. I mean, it is the highlight, I think, of the week.
You enjoy this.
I
and
do.
It's one of the reasons why I take it so seriously as I do.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious about this.
No, I appreciate it.
I mean,
I told you I appreciated it for Thanksgiving.
Yes,
you remember
that's right.
that?
That's right. You did. I mean, we enjoyed the show when it was making no money. Now it's making a tiny little bit of money, but we want to make even more money. So, by the way, if you enjoy it and you want your product to be sponsored on our show, just reach out to us. info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. So we can continue to have the yucks on this show because Jimmy and I, this is when we finally get to sit down and let everything go.
I told Steve Helton, this high school teacher, Ed McDonough, that he has a mic on during the show, and he's contributing to the show. And I thought Ed was going to fall off the chair.
Oh, really? I have a feeling that at some point people are going to want to hear more about Steven than us.
Probably.
It's like, come on.
Steve again, man.
Yes.
Besides, he'll be around a lot longer than we will be.
Well, yes, he will. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we never know anything in life.
Right,
but yes, if you look at the statistics as to age and life expectancy, yes. On paper, he's expected to outlive. Although, Jimmy, you could live to be the oldest guy in the world and outlive us all.
Never happened.
You never know.
I know.
You never know.
I don't know.
Anyway, thanks for listening and enjoying this podcast because when we enjoy it, we think you'll enjoy it. So share it. Keep listening on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and the CLNS Media Network. For our director, Steve Helmuth, I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
And now you know what's behind the media.